Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This talk comes in collaboration with World Design Organization, and we are hosting Mr. Emanuele Cappelli, the founder and creative director of Cappelli Identity Design, in a design talk about brand design.
Thanks for having me and for having our studio Cappelli Identity Design. We appreciate it a lot. Before I introduce myself, I would like to let the images speak for themselves. In the next video, we will share the design experiences we had with clients from various markets and the explorations of different media and materials. Ciao, I'm Emanuele Cappelli, and I am an Italian designer. I design all kinds of things, and one thing leads to another. But as a child, I have never thought this would become my job. Since 2010, I'm the founder of Cappelli Identity Design. Thanks again for this opportunity to share this time together. In this design talk focused on brand design, I would like to tell you about our methodology of the dynamic brand, and of course, our monographs too. We like to tell you about our studio, our works, like a journey through the stories of life, design, space, and time. Next to it, there is this Liberty Art Nouveau staircase, which we climb every day to enter the studio in Rome, representing a slightly decadent beauty of Rome and of Italy as a whole. Have you seen the movie The Great Beauty by Sorrentino? Well, all the storytelling is true. And if you haven't seen the movie, I recommend you see it. I was born in Rome, and I lived in the suburbs of Rome, where I had seen a lot of diversity, humanity, and injustice. But I was lucky because I grew up in a suburban area of the eternal city named Cinecittà, the Italian center of cinema, the Italian dream, la dolce vita. It's a place where you can interact with lots of interesting people, and you can create any fantasy you want, if you really want. Also, it's at the center of history and European culture. I grew up in front of the Roman aqueducts, the historical symbol of the life. The aqueducts moved water through gravity alone, along a slight overall downward gradient within conduits of stone, brick, concrete, or lead. The steeper the gradient, the faster the flow. This was the landscape for a lot of movies. where the films were shot. I grew up with my sister Arianna. Today, she is head of strategy and client director in Cappelli Design. When I was a child, I used to draw horses, and I had 3 dreams. I want to become a singer, but it was not a good idea for me. A football player, I was near to it, or an artist. I had never heard the word designer. The first turning point arrived when I was 21, when I was a student of architecture faculty of Sapienza. I started to work in our lovely design. I have always had a fire inside, one that never extinguished, like the Olympic torch, as one of my high school teachers taught to my father. In the past, this was out of my control. I could never stay pat. I was never calm. But then, in some way, I found myself living a contradiction. I started joining some design project, and I felt I had to do things my own way. So I rented a garage and started working with a colleague. It was damn cold. That was my first real business. But it didn't all go well. I got dragged into a national scam, and it was a real mess. I felt weak and insecure, and I had to pay back a lot of money. And I worked hard, and I paid back until the last cent. During that period, I gave up on my life. It was hard to deal with that failure. I wasn't ready. It hit me like a punch in the face. I was 26, 27. And my third dream, to become a designer, had been put to the test. But I had another wish related to such dream, to get a job at La Biennale di Venezia. I kept telling myself, before I die. So at the end of 27, when I was 28, I got a call from the Venice Biennale. I thought it was just another bad joke. I was about to give up. It was actually a little surreal, and I didn't really believe what was happening to me. I was afraid of being happy because for some time I had been thinking about how much money I owed and wondering how to pay it off. This is the picture taken when I was called to start the exhibit design work for the Venice Biennale. There were over 8 representatives of the institution of Venice waiting for me there. A blurry picture, isn't it? A blurry picture also this one with my colleagues after the meeting in Piazza San Marco in Venice. This photo, on the other hand, is in focus. It is me on the first day when I started the work. My role was creative director. 2 months working very hard with 40 professional workers. I was the first person to arrive in the morning and the last to leave at the end of the day. I was hungry, and that place fed me. And this is the landscape every morning I see into my eyes. I really had to convince myself that one of my dreams was coming true. I lived this experience relentlessly, and that dream saved me. So I was reborn in Venice, into a project of inclusion and welcome to the diversity. Metaphorically, walking into doors of light. But in this beautiful story of the designer, there were important failures, milestones of my grow up. My bad business ventures started in Milan, and after in Singapore, my first attempt to open a business abroad. In London, my second attempt to open abroad failed. In Dubai, my third attempt to open abroad failed. But here I became certain that kindness is wrong. And in Hong Kong, all went wrong. This quote can depict what drove me in that moment. They can cut all the flowers, but they will not be able to stop the spring. By Pablo Neruda. And it inspires me still today. These values are shared by our studios. We are in Italy, in Rome, and in Turin. We are people. Each company is the total of own people. For this reason, you are an important part of everything. Cappelli Identity Design, here a picture of our team in Rome, is an independently designed studio that primarily deals with worldwide multidisciplinary projects from branding, visual design, and marketing strategies. We are a team with vertical competencies and soft skills. Designers, philosophers, semiologists, content creators, social media managers, and more, each with their own peculiarity. Everyone adds their skills in the process. In Rome, we are in a building of the 1800, near the famous Colosseum, an open space that is a metaphor for the exchange of ideas and different cultures. This studio had to be not only the headquarters of Cappelli Identity Design, but also is a place of cultural and creative sharing. Also, it required to be a stay for artists and young scholars, students. I'm a professor too in university. The space is a lot, with a lot of light and colors, with dedicated areas for business, but for an informal time too, to live an informal time too. In Turin, we are in an innovation hub, OGR, its name, a place to share with startups and other companies. A continuous contamination that also happens with architecture. The architecture, living a beautiful space, helps us to achieve better quality projects. All this is in our new book, Dynamic Brand. For you, in communication, what is a brand? What is a logo? Do you know the difference between a logo and a brand? A logo is a graphic sign that makes a business recognizable, just like the appearance of a person. On the other hand, the brand conveys the business identity values. It includes the logo and should build an authentic connection with people. Today, a brand works if it speaks with people, not with consumers, but a brand speaks with people. If it admits and apologizes and sticks to the values, underlying the respect for nature and for the diversity. In summary, to work, a brand must be more human. Have you ever experienced watching a TV spot, but failing to associate it with a logo? Maybe you remember the international spot of a car dodging colored paint explosion. How many of you can precisely recall the car's brand? How many? And or maybe you happen to remember whom the slogan belongs to. Power is nothing without control. Right. More of you, but still not so many, can remember the claim, but not remember the brand. This is Carl Lewis, 9-time Olympic champion, also called Son of the Wild. And what if I asked you to imagine a slam dunk? Which brand would come to your mind? The brand is Michael Jordan. And I'm sure you can remember, associate this advertising with the brand. We know that some businesses suffer from communication issues, even if they allocate relevant budgets. To solve this problem, we ideated, applied, tested, modified, and wrote the dynamic brand methodology, in which the business keeps its constant connection with people, while also maintaining its values. Dynamic brand is our innovative design methodology to create projects based on corporate values and cultural drivers. So dynamic brand is our vision of design linked to people. The traditional vertical scheme, logo, corporate identity, below the line, advertising, etc., no longer exists, but makes room for truly integrated communication. The business values are at the core of the dynamic brand that visually leans on the identity system. The logo is isolated, free from responsibilities and from functions, as any other media to convey consistent communication. This is how the investment budget is also optimized. The dynamic brand is inclusive and is revolutionary. It truly conveys the value of a business. We see that every time we design with our clients, at the center, the heart of our system, there are your values, your business values. And we design your values with type, colors, and shapes. About our book, Stephen Heller, a writer of more than 200 graphic design books and co-president of the School of Visual Arts in New York, wrote this for us. So let's see the dynamic brand in action with some case studies. They are a selection of our works. Solid Light Festival was an Italian festival in Rome. We have created a video mapping performance on the main monuments of the city, giving a new shape to eternal beauties. Okay, it was very, very impressive. We were able to build and then deconstruct existing architectural structures, such as the Square Colosseum and the Pantheon and a lot of churches. Here is an example of the identity and the typographic system. Stretch is the movement of the logo, stretch in vertical and in horizontal direction. We worked in collaboration with a fashion brand, Fendi, and the visual design is directly connected to the identity system. So you cannot see the logo, but you can recognize the event. When light emits the architecture, it becomes solid. The light become solid. And for this reason, it takes on a new, much more powerful dimension. This is how solid light brings new points of view on Rome through the application of the dynamic brand method and dynamic brand visual representation. This is another work. Way is a technology partner company of partner and company of excellence in IoT for logistics. And it's very interesting. It was a very interesting project because they work with the vehicles in motion. So we studied a new identity representing solidity, but reliability. And it's an entire system of technology and values. The new positioning is based on the centrality of the human being and his ability to accompany her towards efficient solutions for optimizing work, safety, and lifestyle through innovative technologies. So we used innovative technologies to design the identity system. In the identity system, we thought that when it meets other units, a system can be born. It changes according to the information received through the geolocalization technology in carriers. The redistribution and combination of individual elements gives rise to ever new scenarios, new images, creating ever new digital landscapes. It is a dynamic brand that points to the future of new communication, thanks to the use of contemporary visual languages to represent a type with interactive action, and all is connected with the big data. An example of business card, website. All is live. This visual is live, not now, but is live. Like this. We designed the user experience, the user interface, the website, the digital languages. And in 2016, we designed the new corporate identity and new rebrand for RUFA, Rome University of Fine Arts. The new brand corporate system designed for RUFA is a part of a repositioning strategy to reflect effectively values, identity and level of excellence achieved by the Academy. The brand we designed for RUFA is a dynamic but is interactive brand too. In this project, the interaction is connected with the sound, with the human presence, with the smell. The concept of the project draws inspiration from the Academy daily life itself. A vibrant and multidisciplinary academic environment open to cultural exchange. The logo, so you've seen, consists of two parts in continuous relation to each other. The institutional part with the RUFA lettering and an interactive part whose lettering and shapes are constantly changed by external inputs. The principles of dynamism and interactivity used for the initial concept are then applied to all the communication touch points designed for RUFA. This is an example of the brand manual we designed for the Academy, and we designed for the stationery to the advertising. So it's a full project of identity system. We designed all the institutional languages and the digital languages. Here, there's a mood of sound in this graphic. The sound is represented by the type. So all the system is an alternate graphic effect, static graphic effect, or interactive graphic effect. But the goal, the target is the same. This is another client, is an Italian cosmetic brand, and the company considers beauty a universal right in respect of the diversity that makes it sharp, makes each of us unique. So we designed the logotypo, Mesauda, Milano. And we worked here too on the brand positioning strategy in local and international markets, and designed the new Mesauda brand identity starting from a co-design workshop with the client. For us, it's very important to start the project with the client, to change ideas, to change impressions, point of view. And the brand identity system uses a contemporary urban language, reflecting the spirit of our time. These are visual for digital applications, the stationery, and the advertising, commercial advertising directly to sell the product. This is a project for a cultural foundation. Its name is Fondazione Adriano Olivetti and was founded in 1962, 2 years after the Adriano Olivetti's departures, to celebrate one of the most relevant personalities of business management at an international level that was devoted to social inclusion and advancement of the human person. For us, for the Italians, Adriano Olivetti is the symbol of Italy's modern industrial revolution. And his foundation is the institution that preserves his cultural heritage. So, in a process of rebranding the historic Liberty Bell, we turned into a dynamic logo that enhances movement, oscillatory dynamism, and we replaced the images of the bell with lettering. Okay, so we cut the bell and we but the lettering, because our target was to design a contemporary new brand image. This is an example of the oscillation and of the system. All the elements can be moved into different lines. And all the brand identity is designed with the letters, because the message of Adriano Olivetti is very, very important. So every visual is a message. And 2 years ago, we designed the OTL22, the acronym of Olivetti Type Lettera 22, and we project the font, a variable font. This is the Olivetti Lettera 22, and it is an iconic typewriter. Starting from archival research, we designed the type to recall the first grotesque and Gothic typography characters that appeared at the end of 19th century. And these characters have characterized Olivetti's communication style ever since. Olivetti's core values of beauty that inspires confidence can now be revived with the OTL 22, no, in our intention. And we hope the new generation can rewrite the history of design. We want to show you this topic by Betty Marenko. She is a professor at Central St. Martin's in London that defines the dynamic brand in the introduction in our book. And so, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Emanuele, for this informative lecture and talk. We started having questions now from audience. Anyone can send their questions now in the chat or Q&A. We have a question from Paravanjan. What are some unique approach in providing branding service to client taking the advantage of technology like AR and AI?
Yeah, okay. Good question. Yes, it's not easy because these topics are very, very big topics. But in the dynamic brand methodology is very important, the thing of the designer, the thing of the person. And a project can be born from the relationship with the person, between the person. We used and we are using the AI, for example, but to illustrations for background. This is a different way to use the technology for the subject. No, we think is very important to use the technology that are more innovative, but like a part of the project. This cannot be the project for us, because we want to give value to our experience, to our knowledge, to our sensibility, to our perception. We are sure the design born from the heart. The design is not the shapes. The design is content translates in a shape.
We have a question from Selena. Have you experienced working with a brand or a company that does not know their values? How did you deal with it?
we work with the company asks to us to design identity. So it's impossible an identity has not values. And so it's not nothing we worked with this company.
We have a question from Umayma. She says, thank you for this inspiring seminar. I'm a Saudi PhD student at Sapienza in product design, and I'm honored to attend. My question is, in your opinion, how does IoT and other technological advancement influence the future of architecture? And we have another question, but we will go with this first.
Thank you to Umayma. And yes, I'm thinking these questions are very interesting, but they are not easy. So, I think the new advanced technology can support the people, and so they are very important in like a part of process. But the technology can be change the importance of the mind of the people. In architecture, they create new landscapes, new visions. But the perception of the spaces is human. The perception of the light is human. To work near a colleague is human. So the new technologies can be changed, but not change the future for people. Totally, okay, can be part of the future. Yeah.
We have interesting question from Abrasha, I think. Thank you for your really amazing talk. Encoding one's identity is delicate and responsible process, particularly in a diverse community. What actions do you recommend we take to be local or global citizens, retaining our clients' local or cultural identity while adapting it to a global perspective? What characteristics should we emphasize?
Global is an interesting word. I think it's very, very important to be global, live the territory, and to have an open mind, that to have a global, to have and have to, to have to live the territory and to have the open mind global, to think global, but not to live in a day global, because our tradition, our culture, our friends, our place, they are very important for our life. No?
Mhm.
Even if I think global is interesting when I appreciate my day by day. Okay, when I'm not superficial, when I have attention for my time and for my space. Okay, so I prefer to be local than global. Okay, because it's the interstice of two different point of view.
I think we can take one more question, and then we can wrap up. We have question about how was it like designing for a big university of design like Roma University for Fine Arts?
Yeah, RUFA.
RUFA.
Yes. RUFA is an Italian academy, and RUFA has 7 different departments. So it's interesting because I'm teaching brand design and graphic design there, but I can work with students by cinema, set design, multimedia design. So there is a big connections and contamination of knowledge.
Last question, what is your advice for practitioners and students in general, designers, when they design something related to culture and heritage?
For me, is it's possible the ask is in the first question.
Mm.
Because to have an approach local helps to develop the sensibility for our history, for our roots, but to have a vision for the world, for the global. And I think a designer is not a good designer only, but is a traveler.
Mhm.
Is a person likes the journey, likes the diversity, likes the new situations, knowing new, grow up knowing new culture, no? The designer is a translator from an idea to a color. And we do research. We respect diversity and identity history.
Mhm. Mr. Emanuele, thank you again for having this talk with us today, and thanks also goes to the team and everyone who supported it. The talk, and it felt very inspiring, and hopefully we will see you soon.
Thank you to you.
Thank you, Mr. Emanuele. Take care. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao, ciao.